let us kick off. And let us kick off with what I think is the big thing, or I hope is going to be the big thing, which is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, which both Sean and I have seen. So, if anybody saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I know Sharon, you didn't see it because it's animated, and you have standards. So you have standards. I may not agree with them, but I do respect them. And so Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was released a couple of years ago, and it kind of blew everybody away because it was kind of like, I think if there was something that it's highlighted to me, it was the fact that Spider-Man, I think, was built for being drawn. Spider-Man was built for being drawn originally in the comics, obviously, and also animation. I think almost animation is the home of Spider-Man. You can have live action movies, and effects have gotten so good that you can get better and better Spider-Man movies. But when you go back to animation and it's done well, you just kind of go, this is where Spider-Man comes alive. And everybody immediately went, this is probably the best Spider-Man movie ever made. It jumped right to the top of the thing. It was all multiversal and all that. And in this one, it's a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. You get to meet up with Miles Morales and find out what's been going on. It's probably been about a year since the events of the first film. And he's a year on. He's been Spider-Man. He's a Spider-Man in his world, and you get to meet Gwen Stacy, who is the Spider person in her world, and you get to spend time in her world, and you get to see what's going on. And then they find out that there's actually there is almost like a sort of multiversal port where there's all these different Spider-Men. And I think over the years there have been very many different versions of Spider-Man. There's been a clone Spider-Man. There's all that kind of stuff, and there's a world that is held by Spider-Man 2099, who is Miguel O'Hara, who's voiced by Oscar Isaac. And one of the things that surprises me about this film is you have DC, who are trying very, very hard to get this whole multiversal thing up and running. And next week we'll talk about The Flash, where the DC are trying to do that whole kind of thing. And they're trying to run before they walk, and they keep stumbling over themselves. You had Marvel, who had to very, very gingerly build this idea of a multiverse and put it together. Then you have this Spider-Man movies, these sort of like Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies that just come in, and the way they tell their story, within about 5 minutes, they've got you buying into this idea of a multiverse. They just go, yeah, it's crazy. There's a horse Spider-Man. There's a horse Spider-Man called Web Slinger. There's a dinosaur Spider-Man. Deal with it. There is, and one of the things that got me about this film is just what it looks like. This film looks stunning. It looks absolutely stunning. There's some times where in the same shot, you are seeing about 5 to 7 different types of animations, because each Spider-Man comes from a different world that is drawn differently, that's animated differently. Some are computer animated, some look hand-drawn. There's a character called Spider-Punk who looks like he's drawn and cut out. Like, he looks like he's actually like, a paper cut out from a punk magazine from the 70s. And he keeps glitching and churning and turning. Sorry, what was that, Sean? What was that, Sean?
I just said it's like the posters that they used to have up with like the anarchy symbols and exactly. The bands and checkered trousers and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he looks like he's been cut off from a Clash poster from the 70s or something like that. And he keeps changing within the same scene as somebody who's like, really slickly computer animated. And you have all these, and it's mind-boggling what they've done, and the invention that is just flying off the screen in this film. It's the kind of film that you want to sit down and you want to pause, and you want to sort of like pause almost frame by frame and go, what did they do there? What did they do there? What did they do there? What's going on here? And the storyline, it goes a lot into the almost the sort of tropes of a Spider-Man story, like what happens in every single Spider-Man story and what every single Spider person has in common with each other, and why that is, and what keeps going on. And if you like Spider-Man, I think there's a lot of in-jokes in here that you're already in the camp, but I feel like the storytelling of this is masterful, because they talk about Miles and his parents and what it means, and him trying to grow up, and Gwen and her parents. And I'm just going to keep, we could talk for about 10 minutes, and I'll just keep saying things like this and just say, the storyline, forget the storyline. It's a good storyline. It makes sense. It's still like a Spider-Man sort of rock 'em, sock 'em, punch 'em, blow things up movie. But at the same time, the ideas that are thrown in there, the fact when they go to the Indian Spider-Man's world, which is called Mombatan, I mean, it's just kind of like it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy, and I really really enjoyed this film. The only bummer about this film is that it's the first part of two, and as my brother said, this waiting a whole year for the next part of the story is not good. And that's what my brother Laolu said. That's about the only drawback I would say, is that you finish this film and you're like, that was amazing. However, it's only the first part. The story hasn't been finished. The story the story might still fall flat. Like, and there's a bit at the end of where they do something towards the end of this film that's supposed to be like a whoa, look at that. And I saw it coming like half an hour before it came in. I was like, well, obviously that's what's going to happen. Obviously, to me anyway, it was telegraphed what was going to happen, where they were going to end up, where the final scene of this film was going to take place. And they treated it like this whole thing where everybody in the film didn't realize that was going to happen. When for me, there was something I saw on screen, I was like, well, that's obviously where he's going. That's what's going to happen. But anyway, Sean, what did you think?
Okay, yeah, I should have liked this more than what I did. I should have liked this. This is something that should have been right up my street, right down my alley, because it was chaotic. It was nice. I agree with you about the animation. Really, really interesting, but it just didn't grab me, and I don't know why. Perhaps I wanted too much. I don't know, but it just didn't. And I mean, normally I love chaos. I love chaos and extreme things and all that, and it really surprised me why I wasn't liking it more than what I actually. I was thinking, Sean, what are you doing? You should like this sort of stuff. This is right up your alley. This is wild. It's wacky. There's lots and lots of different animation. And I don't know. I think perhaps the bit of this, to me, the first, I found myself getting a little bit irritated by the first sort of half. It got better towards, I think, as the storyline got better. But even then, it was a little bit chaotic. And you know me and my banality or whatever they call it, and I just thought the character seemed to change. Like the big dude, you were saying, the big dude, the big, the really big one that like sort of wants to take him out and says, "Oh, we've got a
Miguel O'Hara, Spiderman 2099."
I just didn't get the reasoning behind that. I didn't know why he was being like that, and then would suddenly change. So I did enjoy the animation, though. I must say, the animation was a feast, and it would be lovely to
absolute feast.
I mean, I can't fault that. I just wish I could have liked it more. I wanted to like it more, and I can't. I don't know what the reason is why I didn't. But
I think
it's strange, really, because I mean, like you say, the punk Spider-Man. That's really innovative. Really innovative.
Innovative.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, it was really, really, it was great. I think the characters annoyed me a little bit, and I know it should be horrible, but his mum got on my nerves a bit, and his mum and dad got on my nerves a bit because they was a little bit too nice. You know what I mean? And
well, no, that is no. I understand what you're saying about it, because the fact is they don't shy away from the fact that Miles and Gwen are teenagers. Yeah. Miles and Gwen are teenagers, and they just happen to have teenagers with superpowers, and the scenes with their parents probably rang a bit too. Well, I don't know. I do not have a teenage child yet, but I can imagine that those would ring a bit too true for me when I do have a teenage child, and it's
it was a bit too I don't think they'd be quite. You're grounded.
There were bits where I was looking. I was like, why don't you just talk? For goodness sake, just talk. Just tell them what's going on. Just sort everything out. Because we know that eventually you're going to have to tell them. And when you tell them, they're going to be like, we love you anyway. So why don't you just say it now? So I agree with that. That goes in. But anyway, I think it's a feast for the senses. I think that the storyline is not as lean as the first one, because they're trying to go bigger and they're trying to get into more themes and everything like that. And there's things like where you're talking about the first half of the film, where they have a conversation, and when the conversation comes on, his mom says, "Just promise me that wherever you go, even if they tell you that you don't belong, that you just know that that's going to come back, and that's going to be something. There's going to be a bit where he's going to remember that conversation, and he's going to be like, yes, I must fight." You know that. But so the storyline is probably a little bit more woolly, but I really, really liked it, and I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to give it. I wanted to like this more. I should have enjoyed this more than what I did, but so I should just give this a 3. maybe I was getting cinema'd out, perhaps. I don't know, but
Okay,
for me,
okay. At what stage did you watch this? What stage was this in your beast mode watching?
okay, this would have been the third one. This would
It
have
would have
been the
been the
third.
it would have been the
along
third
line,
one.
yeah.
Was
But what's
this?
going to be quite interesting is we're going to talk about Flash next week. So
Oh yeah.
there may be some
So okay, so
some.
so tell me the order of your beast mode watching. So you went Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, then you went to
Yeah,
watch
and then
another one.
Fast X.
Then Fast. Okay, that's what I thought. I that's what I thought might have happened.
That could be the reason, couldn't it?
Yeah, where you said, "Oh, I didn't like it as much as I did," I was like, "Okay, he probably watched Fast X just before," and that brought him right smack him back to ground. I'm going, "Oh my god, cinema can be terrible. Why? If I was at home, I could fast forward this nonsense." Like,
So yeah,
oh,
that's
okay,
yeah.
that might have been it. All right, cool.
You've
And so,
worked out. Yeah, that could be the reason, couldn't it? That could be the reason.
okay, yeah. So Fast X, then Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, and depending on what you think about the other films, I will credit Spider-Man. I think I'm going to credit Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for raising your mood again, so you could actually enjoy cinema again. But that is not to give a spoiler for Sean's review of Fast X later, which I feel I could write and I could say before you even say it. But
Yeah,
which
yeah.
but anyway, let us move on. Let's go